ice in the outside cat water bowl this morning. Well, we're up late, like a lot of people today. It is 23 degrees out there. I don't know how cold it actually got last night. Not the 12 here that they had hinted at a few times. And what are you headed to do, Donnie?
I'm going to take a picture of the digital power meter that measures the power used by the Tesla, or the power that we buy from the utility company for the Tesla. I'm going to measure the digital power meter, read the power meter for the water heater. I'm going to get my paper.
Yeah, Don's got some things he reads first of the month.
Right.
And there's also a meter in the washer, dryer, laundry room for the heat pump.
Yeah, it reads the first, second, and third stage heat. How long they've run, that's right.
Yeah, got to start the year off right with those important numbers.
That's right. Brr, it's cold out there. And I can really tell it's cold because read the digital power meter for the Tesla. We're not charging right now, but it's the first of the month, and I go out there, take a picture, and I read the meter, put that information in a spreadsheet. But it's reading 238 volts, and normally 244, 245. So the fact that it's 238 volts means that because everybody's running their heat pumps or their heaters, it's pulled the grid down. That's typical voltage whenever I'm charging the Tesla because of the drop in the wire, but right now the grid voltage is just lower, probably by 3-4 volts than it normally is, just because of the sheer load of it being a cold morning. Well,
Donnie, you got your coffee waiting on you right here. Yep, it's waiting on you. We didn't do any preconditioning, so we've got limited regen. The garage says it was, according to the car, 54 degrees, so nice and warm in there. Catching the first Pokemon of the year.
So we have limited regen. You know, the car's kept in the garage. It was 50 degrees and 54 degrees according to the car in the garage. So I don't really understand why. I mean, that's actually not super cold, but nonetheless, it's limited in our regen. And I am noticing we have less than 50 kilowatts of regen. And when I lift my foot to typically coast up to a traffic light or something like that, I notice that it's not slowing down rapidly. So I am noticing the limited regen. You know, when you got to get used to it. I mean, it's definitely there. In fact, I would tell you the amount of regen right now is the exact equivalent to a ICE car with an automatic transmission. When you take your foot off the brake, it coasts it doesn't slow down a lot. Like I mean, here we are, I'm having to really apply the brakes to stop at this traffic light. I mean, that was a traffic light braking event.
All right, so pretend you're in an ICE car right now and use the brake, Donnie. Use the brake.
Yeah, well, you get used to that regen, I'm telling you.
So it's 1:51 p.m. and we'll see how long it takes before us driving to get regen back, because we will be in the car over an hour and over 30 miles. So hopefully sometime. So this is today's picture that I took a few years back that I host on my photomom.smugmug.com/Tesla webpage. This is actually an old homestead, and I have photographed it many times during the year because I think it's a pretty fascinating old building, and I thought this snowy scene was pretty appropriate considering most of the U.S. is in a deep freeze, and many people, not us, have snow cover. So yeah. So Don and I are on a New Year's Day scavenger hunt, right, Donnie?
Right. Got our Alabama Crimson Tide shirt on because the national semifinal today, Alabama against Clemson in the Sugar Bowl tonight, like 9 o'clock-ish p.m. Eastern time. Looking forward to watching that game. Alabama's my team, and hopefully we're gonna put it to Clemson and make it to the national championship, which is a week from tonight.
Yeah, I'm planning to make chicken wings for dinner tonight. Yeah, gotta have some football style food. No fancy New Year's Day dinner for us today. So it's 2:02 p.m. and Don drove it a little bit like he stole it, and the regen is back full regen now, so yeah, that's good. So with it being January 1st, New Year's Day, a lot of people are talking about what their resolutions are for 2018. I always resolve every New Year's not to have any resolutions, because I figure I should try to live the best that I can every day, not just on the first day of the year, right? But of course I share some of the same resolutions deep down that other people do. I'd like to lose weight. I'd like to exercise more. I'd like to get 10,000 steps a day on my Fitbit. I want to, you know, keep on making Tesla Ruby videos without missing a day, you know, be a good mom, be a good wife, you know, all those things that, like I said, I really am trying to do every day. I asked Don what his resolution was, and he said,
lose weight. That's it. Maybe I'm not worried about my exercise. I've been doing running pretty much 4 to 5 times a week since 2005, so I'm pretty much in a routine on that at this point. I'm not overly concerned. I've been very fortunate, not been injured. I haven't had knee problems or hip problems or any joint aches. Of course, now I don't run that fast, but nonetheless, I get out there and do my thing, and so I guess if I could just lose you know, 20 pounds, I'd be super stoked.
Yeah, Don told me earlier his resolution on January 1st every year is the exact same resolution. So we did hit 300 subscribers last night right around midnight. That was pretty cool. But this will probably be the last time you hear me talk about how many subscribers we have in any time this year or in the near future, because you know, I'm not really making the videos because I care about, you know, subscribers. Of course, you know, I've invested my time to make them, and it brings me joy that people watch them and get something out of them, but I'm not strictly doing it for that reason. Back in 2007, I got super interested in photography, and started participating in a daily photo group on SmugBug. And for over 5 years, I worked each day to take a high quality photo, post it to the group for criticism and critique, and to try to improve myself. These photos that I'm putting up on the big screen in the Tesla are mostly all ones that I took for that daily photo group. But as life changed and the kids got bigger and such, I sort of faded to only posting quality photos a couple of times a week. So when we got the Tesla, and I would say in large part because we were watching all of Tesla Bjorn's videos, and to some extent the James Cook vlog, that inspired me to want to do videos with Ruby. And I wanted to teach myself how to create videos because I didn't know how. And I also wanted to re-spark some creativity in my picture taking and then videography, and kind of get back in the saddle, so to speak, with creating some content, photographic content that I was happy with. So I really think that I really enjoyed making the last 200 videos, and plan to continue to do it. Plus, for me, it's a great way to document our family life, and also it keeps me engaged and interested on that, you know, daily commute to and from the kids' school in downtown Raleigh, because think of how that might start to get boring if I wasn't interested in, you know, my surroundings and the sunrise and the sunset and the buildings and, you know, what's going on with the Tesla and that kind of thing. It keeps me really engaged. So yeah, I've enjoyed it, and will continue to do that. And you know, we want this to be a kid-friendly channel, a family channel, a channel that has good Tesla content. I don't try to recreate all of the news out there that some other folks are doing, because let's face it, you know, they're doing such a good job with it. Why would I want to try to recreate it? But we do try, you know, to add our personal twist, and you know, Don with his guy techie electronics stuff in there as much as we can. So assuming we're avoiding toll roads today, this is your first hint in where we might be heading on our scavenger hunt. It's a sweet GTO. Just because we like EVs doesn't mean we don't have an appreciation for classic US cars. We were noting that it's very busy out here on I-40 today for a holiday. Alright, Dawn's in autopilot. We're coming up on our next scavenger hunt clue. So we've got the climate in the front set to 72. Our heats are on a 1 or a low setting. And Ruby says it's 28 degrees outside. We're very comfortable in here. I don't feel any drafts or coldness coming off the glass or anything. All right, another scavenger hunt clue. And yeah, I see that piece of lint or hair inside my camera lens. It's actually on the inside of the G7X Mark II. I need to try to vacuum, suction the lens and see if I can move it. Either that or Dawn's gonna have to follow one of the YouTube channels where they drill a small hole and get in there with a Q-tip. One of the two. All right, last clue in the scavenger hunt before it's totally given away is the word Westgate. And we are up here where Tesla has their Raleigh sales and service center. Oh, that's kind of cool. They've put up a little temporary tent for where they wash the cars after service.
Yeah. Yeah. Some look pretty new. Shiny. There's red with black.
Yep.
Well, like you said, there's going to be one here.
It's going to be inside. Yeah, so we were just looking to get out of the house and go for a ride today, and Dawn thought, you know, let's just see if there's a Model 3 outside up at Tesla Raleigh.
Plus, how many, you know, in other places around the country, folks have been reporting gobs and gobs of Teslas, in the new Teslas, you know, still in shrink wrap, you know, sitting on the lots. And so we're seeing if they're similar here in the Raleigh area. I mean, granted, this is not really a big location, but we do have a sales and a service thing.
So this is the sales office versus the service center. It's just a couple blocks down the road. This is not the permanent residence for Tesla Raleigh, and I would say that they did an awesome job of delivering pretty much every vehicle that they got prior to the end of the year, because there's some Teslas back here, and there do not appear to be any new Teslas. If they are, the bay here can hold like 3 or 4 if they're creative about how they park them. And so I'm thinking they got them all out the door, made a lot of people happy before the end of the year.
Right.
So it's a 38-mile, 54-minute trip for us up to the service center. I think we're pretty lucky in comparison to some folks around the country who are much farther away from their service center. And if we'd taken the toll road, we probably would have saved 3 or 4 miles and 5 or 10 minutes. So if we really needed to book up here quicker, we could shorten the cycle time a little bit.
Yeah, well, that 55 minutes includes a 5-minute stop at least for Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm always on Pokemon time. I forget.
Because I didn't put it in park. I just used hold mode, and we just sit there while she was catching her Pokemon.
Yeah.
So we scavenger hunt wasn't successful. Oh well, maybe soon. You know, it's like Marianne said, it's a really nice day. So we're up here at the Tesla sales office. We're just kind of parked in front of it here. You can see the T. And we decided, might as well, this is us. Basically, it's been 6.5 months. We've had it now. It's January 1st, 2018. So, you know, what do we like? What do we wish was different. I still think very happy, thrilled with it, very pleased, glad we got it. This was a major life purchase for us. I mean, this was not something that we took on without
Yeah, we didn't do it on a whim.
No, we didn't. The X's certainly met all our expectations. The comfort, quietness, all the range, all those types of things. If you saw yesterday's video, the insurance isn't prohibitively expensive, which is one of the things that sort of concerned me. And so I was a little relieved that the insurance isn't real bad. The pluses of carrying stuff around the front, the self-presenting doors is still probably our favorite feature. At least my favorite feature is the self-presenting doors. The other stuff, the hill mode, I really like, and I think the big kind of surprise, I do like autopilot, but believe it or not, the traffic aware cruise control is actually something I used constantly. I mean, I use traffic aware cruise control, I'm gonna say 90% of the time.
Right, well, you take the most trips with the car, longer distances, yeah.
Right, well, even in town, I mean,
yeah.
I turn on traffic aware cruise control, and the little chime, I kind of, I'm not a slow driver, but I'm not a race driver either, but I tend to drive a few miles an hour over the speed limit, and I have the chime set for 5 miles an hour over, and I have found that I'm using that a lot, when it chimes at me to let me know that, maybe I want to lift. I found that very helpful. I know that's not any big special feature, but it's funny, these little features are some of the ones that I like the best. Like I said, the hold mode, the chime, the autopilot is great. Also, I'll be real honest, the autopilot, having to hold my hands on the wheel with probably actually more grip or more tension than I would do if I was actually driving the car, is kind of funny. The steering is very light in the Tesla, or because we have it on the non-sport mode steering, so it's very light, and it doesn't take...
You are driving in comfort.
Comfort. I'm driving in comfort mode.
Comfort mode.
And so the steering is very, very light, but when I have it in autopilot, I actually have to move the wheel more, or put more pressure right and left to jiggle it from time to time, to keep traffic aware cruise control happy. I wish there was some kind of magic. It could tell that my hand was on the wheel versus I actually have to use muscles to move the wheel periodically to avoid the warning of put your hands back on the wheel. So that's not to say that I don't like traffic. I do. It's really nice on the interstates. Like when we drove to Burlington the other night, I did that. I guess 95% was on autopilot, and I don't remember it doing anything funny all the way over there and all the way back. It simply just drove. I think I had 2 strikes on me, both going and coming. I've never gotten the 3rd strike. In fact, I usually get the first 2 strikes, or the first strike, and sometimes the 2nd strike, within the first probably 2 to 5 minutes of using autopilot, and then I won't, for the next hour I won't get one, or because it's sort of like, oh, I need to I need to hold the wheel more than I would do normally. And so I guess that's one of the little things.
I've never gotten a strike except the one time I was filming and created a strike on purpose.
Yeah.
I just must hold the wheel firmer to begin with.
Right. Well, anyway, that's just me.
So, yeah, I'm still 100% thrilled with Ruby. The love affair with the car hasn't faded at all. And I still am totally enamored with the Falcon wheel doors. And I still enjoy talking with people. You know, when I pull up and there's nobody sitting in the middle row and I don't need to open the Falcon wheel doors, folks often don't talk to me about the car, but the minute those wings go up, people come over and they're interested, and I really think that's a great conversation starter. And I almost always have the time and want to make the time to talk with folks about the car, whether they're potential customers or not, you know, potential Tesla owners or not, and just sort of share both the EV love and the Tesla love with folks. So that's good. I'm using traffic aware cruise control a lot. I'm not using autopilot a lot. That's because I'm not doing a lot of trip driving. I'm just kind of on 401 going in and out of Raleigh, between Raleigh and Fuquay. And I need help in the bumper to bumper morning commute traffic, but I don't really have nice stretches of road where I can really turn it over to Ruby. But I definitely use traffic aware cruise control a lot. Don's not a audiophile music kind of person, but right. I love the music, and Joey really likes the music, and we have it on streaming, you know, a lot. I've kind of been stuck on an 80s hits rut since we got the car, because I hadn't listened to those songs in a long time, and the car made it easy to listen to them because of the 80s hits station. But I would say, you know, we're always in a good mood in the car because we've always got some great tunes on. It's hard not to be in a good mood for the boys and I when we're doing that. You know, I'm always comfortable in the car. I'm comfortable in the seat. You know, feel like I have good visibility. You know, the rear view mirror seemed really tiny for the first 2 days of driving, and now the size of the rear view mirror just doesn't matter to me at all. I've totally gotten used to looking out through the back with this rear view mirror. That was a very short cycle time adjustment for me, and I don't know, we're just totally still enamored with the car.
Yeah. So you know, update on the white seats. First of all, I think Mary and I are both in agreement. We would still recommend them to anybody who gets them. On the driver's seat, on the outside on seat bottom, it has picked up a little of a blue tinge. We've cleaned it, and it's still slightly blue. I wouldn't call it you know, super bad.
Yeah, you have to really look to know. You'd have to be looking for it to see it. And since we knew it was there, we still know it's there. But I don't think if you walked up to the car and looked, you would go, "Oh wow, the seat's blue," because it's not that blue.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you are the person who wears new blue or black jeans or red whatever, if you wear colorful pants, things like that, very vibrant, you probably you are definitely going to pick up some color on
or you need a seat cover,
or you need to get a seat cover, or we're using a towel right now. A white towel, so keep that in mind. But I would say that it does clean up really well, but it does not disappear. Now, we haven't tried anything super strong. I mean, literally we wipe it down with
unscented baby wipes.
Unscented baby wipes, and I have used like 409, you know, the simple kitchen cleaner. Well, not kitchen cleaner. You know, 409 green. That green stuff. Anyway, I haven't used anything what I'd call a commercial level cleaner or anything on it to try to clean it. So it's possible that there may be something out there that'll do a better job. I would hope you know, maybe Tesla in the future will come out with something that might do the trick. I don't know if it's really upsetting you, but
yeah, and some people say you should just get the seats treated before, you know, right after purchase, and then they won't pick up anything, and maybe that is or isn't true.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
One of the things that we decided not to do was have it wrapped or anything like that. And the car or the seats, we didn't spend it. That's expensive. Even though we're going to keep the car a really long time, maybe it was something that we probably should have done. But I would say if you're going to be thinking you're going to sell the car in 5 years, then probably you may want to wrap it, because you know those dings and chips. We've picked up 2, not bad, but I mean I know they're there because I washed the car. I have touch-up paint, but I haven't worried about trying to do it. The wrap might definitely help you when you go to sell it, because it could basically give the next purchaser a brand new paint. But you know, after 15 years, you know, we're planning to keep this thing for a really long time. It's very possible that we don't, you know, it's just going to get dings anyway. So I mean, it's sort of like not going to help that much. I mean, maybe it looks great for 5 years, but the wraps don't last forever. Wraps is a personal choice. It's just we decided not to do it, and I don't regret that, mostly because we're going to keep the car for a really long time.
We do have a little bit of paint wear inside of the Falcon Wing doors on both sides. That's right. A common problem that we've read about. I guess if we take it into service, they'll put a little rubber pad there to keep whatever's rubbing from rubbing. Ours is already rubbed, so you know it's not a big deal. I guess if I were going to pick up a new X, I would ask Tesla about putting in making sure the little rubber thing is there in the very beginning. I haven't seen exactly what that looks like, but it's just a little bumper I think they've been putting in there to stop the rubbing. Again, it's not a big deal, but just a consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a sporty Honda convertible pull up next to us.
Well, they pulled on the Tesla door. They wanted apparently to buy a Tesla.
Yeah, and they got the top down on their convertible.
And it's 27 degrees.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we should give them an electric car so they can stay nice and toasty warm.
That's
yeah,
right. That's
right. But, so, you know, keeping it a little real, telling you a couple of things, but overall, would do it all over again.
Yep.
We got to meet up with Sean Jesrani. He does car videos, not just Tesla, but car videos. He's a Tesla fan. He was up there just to see also if he could see a peek at a Model 3. It was nice to meet him. It's a short little train.
Yeah, it was.
So our boys don't go back to school tomorrow. Tomorrow's Tuesday. They go back Wednesday. But we just got a call from Wake County Public School System, you know, the roll call, that schools are delayed for 2 hours tomorrow morning, and they stated that they're concerned that the buses won't crank after sitting idle for the winter break. You know, they haven't been running for the past week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. So yeah, 17 degrees here, I realize is not you know, whether that would stop anybody in the northern United States or Canada or Norway or anywhere else, but in Raleigh, North Carolina, a 17-degree morning can bring things to a little bit of a standstill, at least from the school system perspective. So we're 17 tonight and like 18 tomorrow night. So probably Wednesday morning we'll also see a delay. We'll have to wait and see. I was also noticing that the 10-day forecast, we don't have any weather appreciably above freezing, even for daytime temperatures, until Monday a week from today. So we're basically going to have I think the highest temperature they're calling for is 33 degrees one of the days later this week. That's kind of serious for us because a lot of the housing is really not equipped to sustain a below freezing air temp for 7 to 10 days, which is where we'll be by the time it ends. So usually that means some pipes and such start to freeze. Not everybody, but some. And certainly this will be a little bit of an unaccepted energy spike and you know, electrical heating expense for us above what we're used to seeing for December into January. So Don says it's not fair. We're going to be that super cold and we're not even going to see one snowflake.
No.
Yeah, the only time we have the potential for wet weather here is when we're over 50 degrees in the winter. As soon as we go down to where it's cold enough to sustain snow and ice, the air is so dry. It was less than 23% humidity in our house this morning. We'll never, you know, it's just a rare combination for the central Piedmont of North Carolina to see moisture and cold at the same time. We get both in the winter, we just don't get them at the same time. All right, Donnie, you ready for some football and some snacks?
That's right.
Homemade guac and homemade ranch dip. Yep.
Yum, yum.
Gotta be all organic if we're gonna cheat and have stuff. Yeah.
What in the world's going on here? What's this for?
Is New Year's Eve take two?
Okay.
All right, so Mr. Don enjoys his football. Johnny and I are gonna sit here on the floor. We've unboxed the Lego Boost robot. We're going to put them together. We have a extra set of the, hold it up, Johnny, the power functions, the Lego motors, not the ones that go with the EV3, but the ones that go with all the Technique kits. So we should be able to make him do lots of moves. Well, the main boost motor takes 6 AAA batteries and goes back down in here. That's the first 51 steps, and we're not sure, is this the eyes or the body, or we're not sure, but it was a lot of layers, and now it looks like we get to do something with the big battery pack. So while I was in the kitchen working on the chicken wings, this is how far Johnny got with the, what's the name of the robot?
Bernie.
Vernie. Yeah, with a V, Vernie. Way cool. We're going to work on him some more while the chicken wings finish up. Johnny's getting really close. I've helped a little bit, but actually I was working on those wings and he made lots of progress. We're going to take a brief break to actually eat those wings, and then we'll get back on the build. I'm in the process of making homemade chicken wings, and what I've done so far is got 2 packs of Whole Foods wings, and I've taken paper towels and basically squeezed the wings to try to get all the water out of them, and then I have tossed them in a Ziploc bag with baking powder and some salt. It's basically 2 tablespoons baking powder, 2 teaspoons salt per package. And you're not trying to coat them necessarily 100%, but just enough we're trying to change the alkalinity to get them to be crispy. Next, I'm going to pan fry them over here in my cast iron skillet. And some bacon grease, just enough to brown them. And I'm in the process of melting butter, and I'm going to put sriracha sauce in there and dip the wings in the butter sriracha sauce. Put them back on the cookie sheet, and then bake them, I think, for like 30 to 40 minutes at 350 until they're just right for eating. All the prep work is done. Now to finish the cooking in the oven.
So Marianne and I are out here in the garage. It's 8:58 at night. The car's been charging since 8:05. We have it come on a few minutes after 8 when the off-peak rate kicks in. Now, we started charging, I think we had 70, almost 80 miles of range.
Yeah, it was 70 something.
70 something, yeah. Anyway, so since in the last almost an hour, let's say of 50 minutes, it's put 18 miles in. But I have slowed the charge rate down just a couple minutes ago. It's now only now it's only charging at 28 amps. Maximum available is 40, and we could charge at 40, and we were charging at 40, but if you notice, the voltage is 226. Here in North Carolina, we're having unusually cold weather for us, and so we use a lot of heat pumps, electric heat, and the heat pumps are all running. Everybody's heat pump, I mean, the design temperature is like 20 degrees here.
For a heat pump to run.
Right, with you. In other words, when they install a heat pump, if they do everything right, it can keep up without using a lot of resistive auxiliary heat at 20 degrees. I think this is going back way back into the early 90s when I took that class on air conditioning.
Yeah, Don in a prior lifetime got his 1-year certification on heating HVAC stuff.
Right, and so you know, this is going back 25 years almost. So,
but at any point, the heat pumps, when it gets really super cold, they run with the heat strips, and they're very inefficient. At that point, they're sucking a lot of electricity.
Right now, our heat pump is running. It's running on second stage, which we have a 2-speed scroll compressor. So the second stage is running on high speed, basically. And our heat strips aren't having to kick on except for defrost cycles. And I haven't noticed any defrost. We have a more advanced defrost timer. It's not just a simple timer. It's ultrasonic. It literally listens to the acoustic wave. I don't know. It's a little different. Bottom line is what I've decided to do. I came out to the car and I have rolled back from the 40 amps down to 28 amps. Because that will still, using the Tesla had calculated the time, it's now 9 p.m. So 8 hours and 15 minutes it'll be done charging. So that'll be something like something after 5 a.m. in the morning will be done before the 6 a.m. it'll be done charging. And
it'll finish before our peak rate time at 6 a.m.
Right, and it's 227. It might go down from there. So if the voltage drops a little bit more, let's say to 225, that's going to increase this time by a few more minutes. But I don't think I think the 45-minute cushion here is plenty, that the car will be done charging. I have programmed Tesla Fi, however, to turn the car off at 6 a.m. So I haven't actually used that yet, but it's programmed in. So it's supposed to stop the car charging at 6 a.m. so that we don't charge into the peak time.
So did you drop the amps back to be kind to the grid, or because you were worried about charging on the car?
No, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. I'm trying to do a small part to reduce the demand. In other words, there's no need for us to charge at 9.5 kilowatts. We're perfectly do just fine at 6 or 6.5 kilowatts that we're charging at right now. There's no need to charge at 9 kilowatts. If we were in a hurry to get somewhere, then of course we'd go on and charge at 40 amps with the 9.5 kilowatts, and we'd be done. But you know, we're just going to be sleeping. We don't have to get up early tomorrow anyway. And the only reason I don't slow it down to like 20 amps is only because of the peak rate kicks in at 6 a.m. tomorrow. And I want Marianne to be, she's got errands to run tomorrow, so you know she's going to be getting out, you know, 9:30, 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Noon. She's going to be getting out tomorrow, and I wanted her to have her normal 80% charge when she leaves, and so you know, we need to basically have it completely charged. This peak kicking in at 6 a.m. in the mornings is somewhat unfriendly when we're not in school. When we're in school, you know, if we were getting up, if it was a school day tomorrow, we would be up at that time. We get up at 5:30, so I can always, and I have numerous times turned off the car at 5:55, you know, and it would just be not charged. But we haven't had to do that since we've upgraded to the 50 amp. That was back when we were on a 30 amp circuit, but now we're on a 50 amp circuit, so we can charge at a maximum of 40 amps, and so we're in good shape. But I'm just trying to be a little friendly to the grid right now. But you did wonder what the car would do if the voltage coming into the car dropped below a certain value, right?
Right. So I believe what happens is Tesla, whenever the charger first comes on, it takes a look at the voltage, and then as it steps up the current, it watches the voltage. And it's okay for the voltage to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 volts, but not, I don't know what the trigger point is, but if it drops significantly, let's say if it dropped 10 volts, it would reduce the amperage, which should allow the voltage to go back up. Because what that, if the voltage drops significantly as the currents increase, that means you have resistance or the wire size is too small. And therefore you know, there's heat. That resistance with current flowing through it generates heat, and of course heat could cause a fire. So for safety's sake, Tesla reduces the amperage to a level where the voltage doesn't sag so much. But now in our case, when it first turned on the charger, it was probably at 227 or 228 volts. I've been watching the voltages. The grid's suffering right now, and so the voltage was low, and when it stepped up the current to the 40 amps or whatever, it probably went down to 225, so it only dropped a couple 3 volts, so that's well within the safety margin. So I just didn't know exactly how it would behave. I don't know if there's a lower charge limit. I've seen people charge at 208, which is a typical voltage for a 3-phase, 1 phase off of a 3-phase service. So it, you know, things are, I think everything's good.
Yeah, Don did say that he won't be surprised in the news tomorrow if they talk about
right.
North Carolina, Raleigh area setting a record for peak demand usage for electricity.
Right, because it's been cold for several days. So, you know, you know, everything is chilled down now, and so the heating systems are all working at their maximum pretty much at this point. And so day after day like that, you know, that gets to be starts dragging things down a little bit. So we'll see.
Don's so funny. He's half paying attention to the football team and half monitoring the grid.
Our house isn't keeping up.
Yeah, Don says this blue spike line right here is either a defrost cycle on the heat pump or
it's our heat strips.
Or our heat strips have kicked on, and he says it's the heat strips. It's just that cold.
It's 20 degrees outside right now.
20.
And as I said, the design temperature for heat pumps in North Carolina is around 20 degrees. The heat pump should be able to keep the house warm at 20 degrees without much use of the heat strips. Occasional. So, you know, they'll run a couple minutes.
But now that they've started coming on at 9:30 at night, they'll be going, probably likely to come on a few more times now.
Our heat strip are 7.5 kilowatts.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Right, 7.5 kilowatts. They only run like 4 minutes, and it brings the temperature up in the house. Whenever it falls, you know, we have it set for 69. Whenever it falls to 68, the heat strips kick on and get it back up to 69.
All right, so Johnny is done building the Boost robot. What's his name again? Vinny.
I don't think it was Vinny, but for...
So Johnny's using an app on his iPad mini to control via Bluetooth the motors. And this guy's head's not meant for 360 degrees, so every time Johnny goes a little too far, his head comes off.
Full speed!
Or we crash. But I mean, look at this guy. Make his eyebrows move, Johnny. Can you make his eyebrows? No, his head moves. Yeah. He kind of has a little hum on those motors. His body's lit up. Oh my God. This is not The Exorcist. Please stop. I know you don't even know what that is, but you know, let's not make him too scary a robot. Johnny, make him move a little bit.
Hold on.
Toward me.
Hold on.
So what did it take you, like 3 hours to build him? Something like that with just a minimal...
Possibly 4.
Yeah, with just a little minimal help from me. His arms don't move, right? We'd have to have... way cool.
I wonder what the cats think of him.
Well, they're not out here right now. Maybe tomorrow we can test it.
Mom, this is how the cats look at him. And this is also how they see a vacuum cleaner.
This robot's pretty cool.
This is how the cats see him. And that's how they see him.
He even does donuts. Yeah, Johnny and I, you did a good job, buddy.